So there's no doubt that Instagram is one of the most important marketing tools for hairstylists, salon owners and therapists. I'm sure you have some level of presence on Instagram with your business today, but in this video we're gonna share some pure gold with you, some tips to really help you step up your Instagram presence and grow your account to the next level. And I'm really excited to have Sarah with me here today. Sarah is an ex-hairstylist. She's today an Instagram pro and she's managing multiple accounts that she's running operationally every day. And she's been growing accounts from like scratch up to 70,000 followers. And today she's working for some of the biggest brands in our industry, including Vela Professionals, GHD, OPI. I mean, there's so much that we have to unpack in this video to help you move your Instagram to the next level. So I'm really excited to get started. So big welcome, Sarah, to the show.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm super excited.
Great to have you here, and we have a lot to unpack in this video. We have a lot of things that I want to go through together with Sarah. But before we do, I just also want to welcome any new people to the channel who haven't been here before. So this is where we share business tips, marketing ideas for hairstylists, for salon owners every week. So if you're not subscribed, just make sure you smash that subscribe button so that you get notified every time there's new gold on the channel, like what you will be getting today. So before we dive into all the tips that Sarah have to share with you today, I'm sure many people are really curious to hear about you and how you moved from hairstylist into becoming a social media pro managing multiple accounts. So if you just wanted to tell us a little bit briefly, like what's your background and what do you do today?
Of course. I mean, I started as a hairstylist for many years ago, working in big salons here in Stockholm, Sweden. Then I moved to Vela Professionals as an educator. And I was like really pushing, that we should start with Instagram in particular, since that's an amazing tool for stylists. So I was really pushing that we should start, and I think it was around 3 years ago maybe. So it wasn't that long ago actually. And now I'm working full time with our digital presence and especially Instagram.
That's so cool. So yeah, again, awesome to have you here. And we will be covering like a lot of the secrets of what Sarah is doing today to like manage these big accounts and to grow these big accounts. So we'll be going through a lot. So I'll also make sure to leave links in the description below to like more resources where you can learn more about the stuff that we're talking about today. But I also wanted to ask, what are the accounts that you're managing today?
It's Vela Nordic, GHD Nordic and OPI Nordic.
Okay, and I know like these accounts are really good. So, one of the best ways of learning, how to manage your Instagram account is of course to look at the pros and, what the pros are doing. So I strongly suggest you also follow Sarah's account after you've seen this video to really see what she's posting and what that looks like. It's some really inspirational hair stuff. You're gonna love it. So I will leave links, of course, in the description below as well to these accounts where you can find out more information. So we're gonna go through now some of Sarah's like top tips and strategies that are relevant like right now on Instagram. So, there will be 5 tips in total, if I recall correctly. So let's start with tip number 1. What would be the first thing you would recommend hairstylists to think about when they want to grow their Instagram account now in 2021?
I mean, the first is to really utilize the channel mix. And we all know that now in 2021, the algorithm plays a bigger role than ever to get you and your content visible. And with all the Instagram formats that you can work with, from feed post, videos, IGTV, highlights, lives, and now recently also the guides and reels, this is really important to think of. And it can really help you to working with all the different formats.
Yeah, and if I'm a hairstylist, that could sound almost overwhelming, right? Like all these different things, videos, lives, like how do I have time to do all that? So just to like double click a little bit on that, like what would be like if you're gonna focus on like 2 of them that like right now are like very relevant for a hairstylist, like what would that be?
I would really say focus on video and also Reels, the new function. So by doing Reels, and especially now when it's still kind of new, it will really get like a push in the algorithm. So Instagram will of course favor the ones working with it. So if you haven't tried it, you really should. So Reels is really, you know, the short videos, almost like TikTok videos, but now on Instagram. So you can share up to 30 seconds, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can get a lot in 30 seconds.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think honestly that kind of applies to all social media platforms in a way. Because like there's so much developing happening all the time on social media, and there's like new features being introduced. And if you're one of the first, you know, to utilize these new features, typically the platforms will promote you a lot because they want to like push that new feature, right? So like by staying tuned to this, like the features that you mentioned and what's new right now, and like tapping into those, that can be, you know, very powerful to kind of get good visibility of what you're doing quickly, right?
Yes.
So that was Instagram tip number 1 if you want to grow your presence on Instagram as a hairstylist. So really utilize all the features, especially the new features, because that can give you a boost, you know, if you're early on using those features. So moving on to point number 2. So like what would be the next thing that you would say to a hairstylist or therapist that is important to focus on to grow on Instagram in 2021?
It's really to give that extra value in your content, and it will give you tons back.
Okay, so like that, because that sounds great, right? But like how do you do that? Like how do you give value on Instagram?
I mean, a few years back it was probably enough with posting like one great visual, but it's not anymore. So we really need a great caption to build with it, or to share the more engaging content.
Yeah, and to kind of educate and give tips and this kind. I like the goal that we're sharing right now, right? Like being valuable. You know, I think a few years ago people were, I don't know, buying followers or like doing crazy stuff just to kind of get followers. But today, to succeed on any social media, you need to be valuable. Otherwise, people, you know, don't engage with you, and the algorithms will not promote your content in that case, right? So what are more like ways to think about when it comes to this part of like being valuable on Instagram?
I mean, really share those tips and the things that you're most knowledgeable about in your profession. And I mean, I'm sure that you have tons of it already, but like easy product tips, you know, how to use a certain product, that is really valuable. And I actually get a lot of questions from especially hairstylists on how they can talk to both their clients but also to other stylists, because people want to grow in both of those target groups. And one really good tip here can be to include one like more easy usage tips that works great with your clients on how to work with a specific product, and then include a bit more like technical stuff that other pro stylists are keen to know.
Cool, that's awesome.
What's also can build on this is to get other brands or like feature accounts to repost you or feature you. This can really help you grow and get visibility among others that are interested in your, you know, content and what you are sharing in the same area.
Yeah. So how do you like just to get very concrete, like how do you like send a message to them, or like what do you mention them, or like what do you do in order for like other brands and other businesses to want to share your content?
I would advise to always tag and mention the brands of the products you're using. That's a great start.
Because I've seen you actually do that quite a bit, which is like sharing inspiration from what hairstylists are doing and the work that is happening in the salon. I see that you repost also on your Vella accounts and so on, right? So
of course.
Would you say if someone now, you know, tags one of the accounts that I'm leaving in the description, they have a chance to be featured on the Vella channel?
Of course.
Okay, awesome.
I mean, everybody's always wanting good content.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, that's fantastic. So that's really like point number 2, like be valuable on social media and like engage also with others and other brands and other like big accounts in order to also be featured on their accounts. So we've reached tip number 3.
Focus on getting more engagement. Because it's really the thing, if you want to run a successful Instagram account now, you will probably focus a lot on engagement, maybe even more than the actual follow number. And there's a lot of tips on how you can grow your engagement.
Yeah.
And my first is to add like a CTA, like a call to action in your caption.
Okay.
And that can be done super easily. Like simply ask a question in your caption. What would you call this hair color?
Yeah.
And it will probably trigger your followers to respond to it. And then you have the conversation going. Or you can do, this how to save a post on Instagram. It says that plays a big role in the algorithm. So you can also say like, save this in your like blonde color folder.
So why is that important? Like, why is it important to get, I don't know, comments and likes? Like, how could that in the end translate into more business for a hairstylist?
I mean, it plays a big role in the algorithm, and you will get your content will be much more visible to your followers because it gets like a higher value in the algorithm if people interact with you.
Yeah, exactly. The algorithm understands that this is good quality content because it is, people care about it and they, want to engage. They want to say things they want to like and so on. Yeah.
It's probably even more important than the actual content nowadays to be social on a social platform.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
In the end, that's what it's for. It's not for like promotional messages, but it's to be social, right? So,
And I have a challenge for you. So I challenge you to go 5 minutes every day to respond to comments, to go to other accounts, like, comment. If you do that 5 minutes every day, like in a month, you will probably have reached much more in your engagement rate.
That's awesome. Okay, so that was point number 3, like work on your engagement rate. Again, spend 5 minutes a day can really help just to kind of get people to engage with you. And, talking about that, if you find what we're sharing on this channel right now helpful, give it a like, help the algorithm to improve the engagement. And in fact, I actually agreed with Sarah even before we started this recording that if this video would get 500 likes, Sarah will come back in again and she will share more of her gold. So if you find this helpful, hit that like button as well so that you get to see more of Sarah. Okay, so that was point number 3. Point number 4.
Planning. Planning is really the key. Because we all know that lack of time, we all face it. So planning your content will really help you to keep up the frequency, even those days when you are fully booked, you don't have any time. So that is my best tip.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because these platforms, like we're talking Instagram specifically now, it's really like, it's designed to get people to spend time on the platform and to get you to watch a lot of ads basically, because that's how they make money in the end, right? So indeed, I guess having a planned approach and a strategic approach to how you kind of work with that platform in an effective way is important, so you don't waste a lot of time, because that can be quite easy to do, right? To spend.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really, use a planning tool. There's a lot on the market. And there's also those platforms that you can automatically post. So you can actually, have a client and it will automatically post for you.
Oh, wow. So which platform are you using today?
We're using a platform called Sprinkler. It's quite kind of expensive, but it's a great for big brands.
Yeah.
But I would advise later.com. It costs a bit if you want it to automatically post, but there's also a lot of cheap ones like Preview that you can have actually a free version of.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know. I've used Later. It was a while ago, so I used Later now, but I recall it was super easy to use as well, and probably a very good tool for a hairstylist or someone who just want to kind of get going with a planning tool and don't need all the bells and whistle of these expensive big tools, right? So that was tip number 4. If you want to grow your presence on Instagram, use a planner, plan your content so that you get control over your time and the quality of what you post. So what would be your 5th tip that you would share with a hairstylist, therapist, or a salon owner who want to grow on Instagram in 2021?
Set goals. Of course, set realistic goals, but set a yearly goal, then break it down in monthly, weekly. You could perhaps even do a daily and what you want to achieve. And I love working with mind maps. So if your goal is to maybe gain, 1,000 followers, I mean, break it down, because spending those like 5 minutes every day in community management, I mean, keep up the frequency. You can do you can put in a lot of different like ideas to reach that specific goal in to get maybe 1,000 more followers. So try to do that mind map.
Yeah, that's really smart. And then you're using some analytics, or like you're looking at data in order to kind of, I guess, see if how you're progressing towards the goal. Like, how do you do that, or how does that work?
Yes, I mean, if you're working with Instagram and have like a creator or a business account, you get actually quite a lot of statistics within the app. So remember to go in maybe weekly to see, the statistics, what have worked, what have not worked. And it might sound simple, but what you should do is, of course, to do more of those posts that get the highest engagement.
Yeah. So like being a bit data, because I can imagine it's easy that we get emotional about what we post, and like we want to, like we're focusing on the image and everything, and the idea, which is of course important, but like using data to like make decisions on what to post based on what you're seeing is working, like paying enough attention to that. And you mentioned the business accounts. I guess that's a very concrete tip as well. Like if you haven't converted your Instagram account into a business account, do that, because that gives you access to all that insight and data on what's working and so on, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that was the 5 tips that Sarah had to share with you today. Like pure gold in there. There's a lot of things to digest, a lot of things covered in a very short time. Like, but if whoever is watching this, should take one thing away from this video, like what would be like a one thing that you would say they should remember?
I mean, really think of why you start following someone. I mean, what do they do? And that is what you should aim for.
Awesome. So, again, all the stuff that we covered, I will leave resources in the description below where you can go, you can learn more from this conversation, and more other resources that are available to you. I said it earlier as well, like if this video gets 500 likes, Sarah has promised to come back in again and to like share, more tips, more gold with you if you want to grow on Instagram. And obviously, if there was something specific that we went through that you think would be very interesting to hear in that video, now if we reach that goal, going back to the last point, write that in the description below as well, so that we know, what to focus on when we see, hopefully, Sarah back on the channel again. So just massive thanks for being here. Massive thanks for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. I know you have a lot of things on your plate, a lot of content to manage and so on. So, really appreciated. I think, a lot of people got a lot of value out of this video. So yeah, that's it for this week. And I look forward to seeing you in an upcoming video.